Guys, welcome back to another of Mice and Men Listen. We're still on chapter 5 and we're going to be talking about characters today. I have a few strong quotes. Chapter 5 is a very pivotal chapter and I'm going to actually add a little video clip. But as usual, let us start with the summary of the chapter. Most of the men are outside the barn playing at throwing horseshoes. Only Lenny is in the barn where he has just accidentally killed his pup by stroking it too hard. Curly's wife comes in and starts to flirt with Lenny, who confesses to her his liking for stroking nice things. She invites him to stroke her long, soft hair, but as his stroking becomes harder, she panics. The harder he strokes, the more she panics, and in the end, Lenny accidentally breaks her neck. He half buries her body in the hay and runs off. Candy discovers Curly's wife's body and informs the rest of the men. Curly is furious and decides to seek revenge, organizing a manhunt to pursue and kill Lenny. Reluctantly, George joins the hunt. Alright. Now, the first quotation we're going to look on Lenny and his deadly innocence, I want to call it, as he refers to the puppy. And Lenny said softly to the puppy, "Why do you got to get killed? You ain't so little as mice. I didn't bounce you hard." He bent the puppy's head up and looked in its face and he said to it, "Now maybe George ain't gonna let me tend no rabbits if he finds out you got killed." Which is a little bit of foreshadowing because George finding out he killed Rabbit isn't his big problem, as we find out, because he then kills Curly's wife. So not only won't he get to tend any rabbits, but the whole dream is probably going to be broken apart. When killing the dog would have stopped George from just letting him tend the rabbits, but now he might, as we know, the end of the chapter he has a bigger problem. So there's a little bit of foreshadowing of how George has to respond to something that Lenny does. All right. Next quotation we have, Curly's wife came around the end of the last stall. She came very quietly so that Lenny didn't see her. She wore her bright cotton dress and the mules with the red ostrich feathers. Her face was made up and the little sausage curls were all in place. She was quite near to him before Lenny looked up and saw her. One of the recurring colors that we see is red. Red seems to be a very recurring color because, red deals with a lot of blood and death. It's a symbol of blood and death. And we notice that here, we're kind of set up to see the color red. And red also means danger. So we're looking at the fact that the writer is kind of signaling danger for us. She said quietly, "He's scared." Wait, Lenny looked down at the hay. "Says I can't tend no rabbits if I taught you or anything." She said quietly, "He's scared Curly get mad." Well, Curly got his arm in a sling, and if Curly gets tough, you can break his other hand. You didn't put nothing over on me about getting it caught in no machine. So she's saying she knows that his hand didn't get caught in the machine. She knows Lenny broke it, and that it was a horrible excuse. Everybody knows what happened. But she's also showing Lenny that she believes that he's strong. So all what they're trying to do to show Curly as being strong, she knows that Lenny's a strong one. And this is a good analysis of the characters himself. We get to see that Curly's wife is smarter than they're portraying her to be, and she sees Lenny's strength as something positive, mostly because she's at odds with her husband, who doesn't give her as much attention as she would like. Now, before we go to our next quote, I actually want to drop the video clip right here, and we're going to analyze what happens in the video clip and show how it talks about her character. So I'm going to drop the video clip right now.
What kind of harm am I doing to you? I tell you, I ain't used to living like this. I could have made something out of myself. Maybe I will yet. Show come through Salinas, and I met one of the actors. He says I could go with the show. My old lady won't let me, but this guy says I coulda. I wouldn't be living like this, you bet.
See, we were supposed to get a little place and then get rabbits.
Another time I met a guy. He was in pictures. Went out to the Riverside Dance Palace with him. He says he was gonna put me in the movies. He says I was a natural. As soon as he got back to Hollywood, he was gonna write to me about it. I never did get that letter. I always thought my old lady stole it, too. She said no. So, I married Curly. Met him out at the Riverside Dance Palace that same night. Are you listening?
Sure.
I ain't told this to nobody before. Maybe I oughtn't to. I don't like Curly. He ain't a nice fella. I could have been in the movies. I had nice clothes. This guy said I was a natural.
Now that you've seen the video clip, let us talk about it a little. First thing, as we notice, the color red becomes a color that stands out. And when she speaks about her dreams, we can see that Curly's wife is actually a woman of ambition, which means that she has a lot in common with even George. You understand? And what she has in common is the dream to get off of the ranch. So we speak about how the setting can affect the characters. It's obviously that the ranch is holding back what she believes is her potential. So just through this scene, we learn the type of ambitions that Curly's wife has. She's not just a tramp that's trying to talk to people to get attention. She wants stardom. She wants something higher than what she has now. So it's not just that she wants to be noticed by the people there. She wants the attention of the world. She wants to be famous. And she believes in her beauty and her strength as a possible actor. You know, and that's why she says that the person said she was a natural, which means she had natural talent, or she thought she had natural talent. Now, another quote that I want to talk about here. Well, I ain't told nobody this before. Maybe I oughtn't to. I don't like Curly. He ain't a nice fellow. And because she had confided in him, she moved closer to Lenny and sat beside him. Could have been in the movies and had nice clothes and all of them nice clothes like they wear. And I could have sat in them big hotels and had pictures took of me. Pictures meaning pictures. Now, what we're looking at is the fact that she is very into what her image could have been and comparing the ranch to the hotel, saying that she's living somewhere she doesn't want to live and she could have lived somewhere of a higher status. So this says a lot about her already. What we learn also is that Lenny connects to her. Lenny connects to her. It's as if the loneliness is magnetic. And that leads Lenny to get a little too close, and that's what ends up killing Curly's wife. Now, when we look at characters, I want us to actually look on what Curly's response is to this. Curly, rather than being saddened by his wife's death, he's more angry at Lenny and he wants his revenge, which shows that what is up there for Curly is his ego more than his love for his wife. A love that we haven't really seen evidence of. So it's almost fair to say that there is no real love for his wife. Then we notice it says, but Candy said excitedly, not excited in a good way, but full of energy that I guess he's getting because of the tense situation. We ought to let him get away, talking about Lenny. You don't know that Curly going to want to get him lynched. Curly will get him killed. So what we're seeing now is the same comparison we did of the characters in chapter 4, showing that Lenny's mind state has made him reach all the way down to being compared to a lowly black person in those times. We're seeing more evidence of that when we use the word lynch. The fact that they want to basically kill him and treat him and torture him the way that they killed the black people back then. Right? Last quote we're going to look on. Curly suddenly came to life. I know who done it, he cried. That big son of a bitch done it. I know he done it. Why, everybody else was out there playing horseshoes. He worked himself into a fury. I'm gonna get him. I'm going for my shotgun. I killed the son of a bitch myself. I'll shoot him in the guts. Come on, you guys. He ran fiercely out of the barn. Carson said, I'll get my Luger, and he ran out too. So, when looking at these characters, we're noticing the fact that we're seeing how status comes into play. We're seeing how the setting comes into play. So when we look on Curly's wife and Lenny, who are the focus characters of this chapter, Lenny's so-called mind state, or his mental handicap that he might have, or his mental disability, has now become dangerous to humans. At first, it was just dangerous to animals, but now it's affecting the men. It's affecting humans, which really brings us to the crux of the title of this book, Of Mice and Men, where what he's doing affects mice and it affects men, and also his mental disability, his mind state is as simple as a mouse. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't realize what he's doing, but something has to be done about him because it is to the detriment of the lives of the characters in this novel, right? And he becomes a byproduct of the time. Going to the next class, we're actually going to just talk about the themes and how the characters of Lenny and them affect this, and how everything just gets wrapped up together. All right. So stay safe. Please read the chapters and do the quizzes that have been gone so far. Bless.